Another day, another story. Natalia Santay, 33, veterinarian from Gostomel. I have been living in my apartment here since 2018. I dreamed of it for a long time, put the money aside for a long time and even longer paid installments for repairs. On that ill-fated morning of February 24, my husband and I were going on a fishing trip, but my sister's call changed our plans a bit. The panorama of Gostomel Airport opens right from our window, so we saw helicopters and therefore, one might say, in the first rows. Then my husband shoved me into the car and sent me to my mother in Transcarpathia. As for himself, he changed his mind the very next day, when the first column of Russian tanks drove through town. He drove out under relentless shelling, and he was lucky, because after half an hour people were no longer allowed out of the city. We heard from the news and our neighbors that serious battles had broken out near our apartment building. There had been direct hits and several fires. The apartment above us was completely destroyed. And then the connection disappeared. Russians lived in our house while people were locked in the basement. Then we were told that the occupants always wondered, why so many of you knew that we were coming. Fortunately, almost all of our neighbors survived, except for one who died from the debris. In Zakarpattia, I dreamed day after day that we were coming home. We were sorting things out, putting things in order. After the liberation of Gostomel, we rushed to Kiev to prepare the ground for a full return. While there was a heightened curfew and demining, my husband managed to sneak into the city for a reconnaissance, and for good reason. He found 2 tripwires in our apartment. I first went to Gostomel right after the lifting of the ban for civilians. I cried the entire way. Because what you see outside the window is beyond your head. You wanted to go home so badly, but you realize that you may never be able to live here again. We knew that all the apartments had been broken into, and we drove with the thought that there was nothing left here. But all we encountered was a mess. Things turned out, tablets and laptops broken, a knife sticking out of the neighbor's plasma, for example. Most of the doors they couldn't break, so they just ripped them out with boxes. And it was all for a great cause. There was a few pieces of gold jewelry missing, and a man had his new sneakers stolen. Blankets and pillows disappeared from almost all the apartments. The Russian soldiers slept in the corridors, because it was cold outside and the windows in the apartments had been broken by their own shelling. The most intrepid residents came to rebuild the compound in the very first days, and lived here for a long time without the amenities of civilization. The authorities gave them generators, and set up a field kitchen outside. We threw in trash bags, brooms, and construction foam and put people's doors in place. Our volunteers cleaned mainly the streets, but inside the houses there was still horror, dirt from the Russians in the corridors. The basement was full of products from the lives of our neighbors trapped inside. The rain poured into the ruined apartments of the residents. Debris made it impossible to move around the houses properly. It was a lot of work. But if it's your home, you'll try any way you can to get back, because even a half-destroyed city is better than anywhere else. It's still hard to go outside, though, because immediately you see the ruins, you feel the heavy air from the nightmares that the city has endured and that will stay with it forever. But you feel not fear, but anger. I'm home, I'm not afraid. Thanks for watching.